So this is a Dark Magician Pendulum deck profile. I've been playing Dark Magician at locals and stuff and trying different builds like the fun 50 card version and stuff, and I thought I would just add some Magician cards because they were available to me. And there is some degree of synergy in this deck, and it's okay. I wouldn't recommend this for any major event or anything, but it's yeah, it's pretty fun and stuff if you want to try something new, I guess. So list, yeah, 3 Dark Magician, of course, that's necessary. You play 1 illusion, so this list is like very preliminary and stuff. I haven't like thought super in depth about it or anything, because well, I mean, it's just a fun locals deck. It's just the target off of navigation. I feel like I might cut it, I'm not sure, because it's just another guy in your hand, but it is kind of, it's okay to draw, because like if you pendulum with circle up, then it still banishes. So that's the idea, is like the idea with the deck is like you can banish things off of circle turn 1, which this deck never can really do if you play it pure, because you can pendulum summon the Dark Magician, and then you can trigger circle, which you can't do in pure, unless you're playing like Ancient Rules or something like that. 3 Rod, there's only 6 normal summons in this deck, so there's really no reason not to play, and obviously he searches everything in the deck. You just want to get the other piece, depending on what you have. If you have circle, get navigation. If you have navigation or soul, you can get circle. You can search illusion magic as well, which is really important, because an illusion magic is really good because you can send any of the pendulum monsters and search Dark Magician, because he's obviously really important in the hand. For the pendulums, 1 sorcerer that you can search off Alliance or Joker and search another Joker. I was thinking of playing more targets like him, like Turtle and Lizard Draw, but the pot of green stuff's cool, but you need to be able to pendulum 7 because of the level. So I decided not to play that, but I'm sure there's maybe better targets, like maybe like Odd Eyes, what's it called, the Perform Power Odd Eyes Bird Phoenix thing, that could be okay, I don't know. 3 Joker, of course, this guy's really good. Sorcerer just synergizes really well with the Dark Magician cards, obviously, because he's level 7. Yeah. The best card in the deck is Black Fang, just because of the fact that you can bring back a spellcaster from your grave, and that includes Dark Magician, obviously, so you can do cool things in the damage step, like use this and then bring back Dark Magician, trigger circle. I think that triggers in the damage step, I hope it does. And yeah, so he's really, really important in this deck, because you can bring back any of your Dark Magicians, or any Dark Spellcaster. You can even bring back Rod or something if you necessarily have to. But yeah, he's obviously really important, and just, yeah, definitely one of the best in the deck. 3 Iris for your searching. I was thinking of playing 2 Iris and 3 Harmonizing. There's a lot of tight space in this deck, and I felt like this was maybe the best scale to cut down. But I mean, it is really strong, but he is searchable. I would probably play 3 of this because it is just really good. Alongside Double Iris, maybe find something else to cut. Purple Poison, this is very important for any Draco that you come against. That means you can out the Masterpiece by attacking over. 3 Potted Desires. Most of your resources are expendable. There's a lot of one-offs that you don't really want to banish, but it's like the +1 is almost always worth it. 2 Advent, because it's a hard one to return like Desires, but Desires is worth seeing in multiples because you can get the +1 out of it. So yeah, I don't need to explain that, hopefully, but yeah, like if you're you don't want multiples in this in hand, but the risks outweigh the benefits outweigh the risks for playing 3 Desires. 3 Circle, of course. This is like it's not super win condition as much as in a pure version, because you can rely on pendulum cards to win you the game rather than with Dark Magician cards. So yeah, like I said, you combo it with things like Black Fang, for example, or any of the spell and traps, obviously, or your pendulum summon. So being able to trigger this like on your own turn is really important as well, because pure kind of struggles to trigger on your own turn unless you have soul up, but I really hate soul because obviously like it has the drawback of destroying your field. Illusion Magic, searchable off of Rod, and you contribute basically your entire deck to search the Dark Magicians. Star Pendulum Graph is there for, yeah, is the Double Iris search, and yeah, it's why you play Dark Magicians, right? So that's all the monsters and spells. Last trap cards, Time Pendulum. Yeah, it's just really good. I haven't really worked out what the best ratio is for the Dark Magician traps. I'm trying to keep it as low as possible, because obviously you don't want trap cards in your hand, you want to search most of these, or you want to draw maybe like 1 of them at maximum. So playing 4 means that you try to keep that ratio as low as possible while also like having them in the deck, because like obviously navigation is really strong. And I'm playing the Dark Illusion Magician guy, the other kind of Garnet sort of dude, for this. But I mean, you can just special 2 Dark Magicians if you want. Yeah, I don't level some Dark Spellcaster. I mean, you could special like the Black Fang as well, and like trigger him as by crashing and things like that. I mean, you could it does have a lot, like some synergy in the deck. So yeah, and Time Pendulum Graph, obviously really good. So 40 cards. I would want to play Upstart, but like Pendulum decks like inherently need to play lots and lots of scales. So like you need to play as much as possible for that. Links, just 1 decode. I decided not to go for the Tomahawk stuff because that's really rare and it takes up a lot of extra deck space, and a lot of your cards in your extra deck are useful. Trapeze is really good for going with Game Shot and using your scales to buff your guys and give double damage and stuff. You can like do like OTKs really easily with this deck. Time Star, he's really good because you can search Rod if you so happen to have like if you don't need the normal summon Joker, you have the option of normal summoning your Rod instead if you already have scales, and it means that you can get the second piece of your Dark Magician set up for their turn. The Rebellion guy, Tornado Dragon or Baguska if you're going first, gets Kaiju'd every game obviously. Sevens, Gaia sometimes pierces for game, Big Eye, and the Ebon Illusion. You can make him with Astrograph as well, so you can summon out the Dark Magician from your deck and then banish something. Ebon High, and kind of not that strong, but you know it specials a guy when it's destroyed and it pops, so you can crash him to like out certain problems if there are any problem cards. Red Eyes for if you get your opponent low. The Fusion dude, the piercing can be relevant. Scarlight basically is what this guy does pretty much. 1 Ignister for getting away problems, and Leo. I have a side deck Ogre which you can sometimes synchro with. I don't know if anything else is super important to run in this extra deck, but I think that it did okay, and there wasn't anything else I thought of. I was like, oh yeah, I could really use that. Yeah, of course, Omega. I was forgetting Omega. I couldn't find an Omega, so there's probably something in here you can maybe find for Omega. Like the Trapeze isn't super necessary because you can OTK without it, but it can come up. So maybe that like could be your option for the Omega. So 15 in the extra. The side is just local side. You know, it's just nothing special. I'll just show it anyway. 3 Gamma Seal is a couple of True Draco players at locals, so I need to outmaster piece. This side is still kind of stuck with like the old Dark Magician deck that I had, so these are probably not, the Dark Magic attack is probably not necessary because it's better in the pure version, but it's still here because it's searchable. Yeah, it's really good to use if you're before your Pendulum Summon, if you can get Dark Magician onto the field with the trap, for example. Evenly Matched obviously is just really good going second. Fovorce, probably wouldn't play this card in the Pendulum version, but it's obviously really strong against Spyro if you go first. The last 3 cards, Ghost Ogre, which I don't have just now. I figured I should play some hand traps, but again, Magician decks are just Pendulum decks. Inherently, you want to run as minimal non-Pendulum cards as possible, which is why I am thinking about cutting the Dark Illusion. The Rod's okay, Dark Magician, I feel like 6 non-Pendulum cards is enough as it is. Those would normally be hand traps, but like I said, you need Pendulum cards. So you have to play Dark Magician cards instead of hand traps, because like it will imbalance your ratio if you put in more hand traps on top of these Dark Magician non-Pendulum cards, do you know what I mean? So yeah. That's the deck there. It performed okay today. I went X1, 3 wins, 1 loss. I beat Draco, Super Heavy Samurai, and Lightsworn Mill 60 card thing. Yeah. So it did better than I expected, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, it's, like I said, it's just a fun deck for locals. The synergy with Pendulum Summoning and Circle is basically the idea behind this deck, so this is the important thing. So yeah. That's the deck. Thanks everyone for watching. If you have any ideas on how to improve this stuff, I'm very open to like any suggestions, because there's just this is the first time I literally thought of it on the way to locals. I opened the notepad on my phone and I was like, oh, what can we play in this deck? And decided to just roll with the punches. Yeah, very early list, very preliminary. I would want to bump Harmonizing up maybe. I can't really think of much else, honestly. I think like it did okay for as well as the deck can do. Maybe a couple more Sork targets. Can't really think of anything super useful though. But yeah. That's the deck. Thanks everyone for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, and see you next time.